to another edition of Arkansas Wrestling Unleashed. It's where we go over all the wrestling shows going on around Arkansas. And if you don't happen to notice your flyer promoted on here, just remember either I got to find it on Facebook or you got to send it to me. If you don't see yours, that means I didn't see it or you didn't send it to me. So, and I apologize if there's a little static going on. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, and I got a special guest tonight, but I will introduce him here in a little bit. But first, we're going to roll through these flyers real quick. Got a lot of good wrestling going on this weekend. Is that rattling? That's bothering me. Anyway, um, this weekend, like I said, there's a lot of good wrestling going on. Friday, we're going to start off with a wild card. They start off with their Headlocks and Heartbreaks, their 2-day special shows. This was going to be in Rector. You got Austin Aries, Rich Holiday, and a bunch of good guys. And then their second day, 14th, will be in Piggott, also having Austin Aries, Rich Holiday, and all of them. So definitely go check them out. Also that day, Wrestling with Pride will be in Paragould, Arkansas. This crap's going to annoy me. Sorry, people. I don't understand what's going on. I will apologize. Let me try this one. That better? Yeah, I might have to switch microphones. Anyway, Wrestling with Pride will be in Paragould. I'm sorry, I am just so unorganized tonight. Also that night down in Prescott, Arkansas, Valentine's Vengeance, Haybarn Championship Wrestling with a main attraction match, Viola Strange and Rita Clark. That should be a killer match. Also that Saturday, one near and dear close to my heart, the Good, the Bad, and the Brutal Valentine. OCW will be in Black Rock. Man, that right there, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, Abaddon, Enzo, Brutal Bob. Just to be a fly on the wall in that locker room is going to be a fun time. Then we got on the 21st, TNR will be in Leachville for Tough Love. Also on the 21st, Mutiny Wrestling Federation will be in Fayetteville, Arkansas for Out of This World. If you're over in that area, you got to go check them out. Malico's worth the price of admission by himself, much less everybody else. And also on the 21st, you got Tornado Pro Wrestling. We will be in Van Buren, Arkansas for Heartbreak Havoc. The 27th of February, APW will be, where are they at? Jacksonville. This is a Friday show for them on the 27th in Jacksonville, Arkansas. Then the 28th, TNR, Ring of Fire. They will be in the Marmaduke Community Center. I apologize if I'm rolling through these pretty fast, but, hey, it happens, Then we've got RPW, Razor Pro Wrestling, called Rebirth in, where is that? Springdale, Arkansas. Should be a killer show. That Megalodon guy is pretty cool looking. I ain't gonna lie. I dig it. Either way. Also on the 28th at Vino's in Little Rock, we've got TAC Wrestling presents Do a Flip. Man, they got some of the most inventive names for shows that I've ever seen. But yeah, definitely go check them out. March 7th, Natural State Wrestling will be in Judsonia, Arkansas. Originally it was in Searcy, but it had been moved to Judsonia. I did not get the updated flyer. I apologize for that. But if you're in that area, go check them out. I will be there as well. So come see me. Also that day, APW will be in Marianna at the Civic Center for the Rudder. This is one of their annual shows to, I forgot the word I was looking for, but yeah, annual show in honor of a good friend of the owners. March 14th, Gladiator Championship Wrestling Clash at the Coliseum 4. They will be in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Then APW on the 21st will be in Clarendon, Arkansas for Gold Rush. Then we go over Natural State Wrestling. Wrestling at the Library. This should be a pretty interesting concept here. They will be in North Little Rock, Arkansas. So you make sure you go check them out. And you got Gladiator Championship Wrestling on the April the 4th. Excuse me. Echoes at the Coliseum. They will be back in Dardanelle. Then on the 11th, you have Fundraiser to Help Wrestling for Wishes in Boonville, Arkansas for Gladiator. Gladiator putting out a lot of stuff, man. Y'all check them out, man. They're definitely worth watching. What's up, Ricky? Then we got APW on the 11th. Riverside Showdown. It will be in West Memphis, Arkansas. And anytime they're in West Memphis, they draw a hell of a crowd there. We're going to stick with the APW, the P-Dub Brawl in Palestine, Arkansas on the 18th of April. I love it that APW actually puts out a crap load of their flyers way ahead of time. It's easier to keep up with them. We got it here again, May 9th. Ricky, did you really? Why'd you name it 6-7? Come on now. Really? Anyway, they're going to be in Marianna for on the 9th for an yeah, that. Sorry, I got tongue tangled because that just messed with me. We've got a couple seminars this weekend as well. Wild Card Championship Wrestling will be hosting an Austin Aries seminar Friday the 13th from 1 to 3 p.m. Make sure you check it out. Oh, it was Nix's idea? Oh, yeah, we'll blame her. Also, this Saturday in OCW in Black Rock, there will be a Brutal Bob seminar. So you definitely can't miss that. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, we got some comments flowing in. But it is time for the main attraction. I flowed through those pretty easily, you know. I get tongue tangled if I try to talk too much about them because then I'm trying to read too much on the flyer and then I get all messed up. But, excuse me, I've got a very special guest with me tonight. A guy that, in all honesty, is probably one of the top podcasters in the Mid-South. Constantly putting over wrestling in general. Always making everybody look the best that they can. I mean, and he's so blunt, he's honest, but he's fair. And man, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shooting the Shiznit himself, Mr. BT, what's going on, brother?
Hey, I've been called everything now, Mr. Shooting the Shiznit. I got one podcast that calls me the Shiznit guy. So there we go. Hey man, how's it going?
Man, it's good, man. I appreciate you coming on. Just like I told Clown, this is gonna be a little different demon for me because I most of the time I'm just interviewing wrestlers. So you know, this is definitely gonna make me push me out of my comfort zone. You know.
Well, hey, I've been around. I saw you was doing the Arkansas. You know, it's based in Arkansas, and I've been doing Arkansas stuff. I guess we just celebrated our 9th year. It's I call it Shiznit Day. So happy Shiznit! Belated Shiznit Day was yesterday. 9 years doing a podcast. Been about 8 years. We've been putting out 2 episodes every week, and just I just love I actually did my first podcast in 2008. I looked that up before I came here, and we were doing a podcast, and we quit doing the podcast and the website in 2011. And I wished I would have kept the podcast going because, man, I mean, I would have had a lot more. I have 1,000. I have over 1,000 episodes, 1,028. So if you want to start listening to an episode right now, every day for the next 3 years, you'll be good to go. So
wow, that is unreal. But what was it? What when you first started podcasting? What was it about? What were you?
It was Wrestling Right. I did WrestlingRideOnline.com. I don't know if you remember that, but we did a local. I did a local wrestling website for 5 years. It ended in 2011. And it was kind of like the Dave Meltzer or the dirt sheet version of a website, and we did it for just this area. You know, I started with Memphis Wrestling every week. I would review the Memphis Wrestling show. Then we would go to shows. We would give awards. I made books. I had a really great time. I just got Memphis Wrestling at the time had quit and no TV to cover. So there was not much I could keep covered except the local shows. And so I stopped it and then came back in 2017 after 6 years and said, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. And the funny thing, David, is that I thought I was going to do the podcast on like, it's going to be shooting the shit in it, but it's going to be like, I was going to get my high school, Sunday school teachers and stuff like that. And then I was like, I'm going to run out of people. But when it comes to wrestling people, I know
Oh man,
I'm never going to run out of people. And then we made our own little thing. We do WTF News Desk every month. There's all kinds of crap that goes on in wrestling. You know that. And we have our own little shows that we do. Plus, I do have guests on for the flagship show every once in a while. But it's, I really try to turn it into a small business because I'm a numbers whore. So I look at my numbers every month. I get numbers from everything we put out, every play, everything from every social media account. I can tell you how many we've had. I was the same way on Wrestling Right Online. So
and I do look at my numbers, but I don't really. It's not a religious thing for me because I do this not just for the the enjoyment of it more than anything, but it's also too my goal is I want to get other people out there. I want to get other people over, and I watch your stuff. I watch Crash Cast. You can see Sam popped up here. Kiss my ass, Sam. But and then that's the thing, is for me, I wanted to do something more concentrated on Arkansas wrestling. And William, yeah, just get with me. I'll have to schedule it out because that's another thing. BT, you were talking about. There's not a lack of people to work with. I mean, we talked. What it was almost a month and a half, 2 months ago.
yeah. I just you put something out and said, hey, and I was like, he does Arkansas wrestling, and I would do it from Jonesboro every week, rolling into info, plus all the other episodes. I always say live from Jonesboro, and I've been in. See, I came to Jonesboro in God, this is going to show you how old I am. 1987 to go to college, and I stayed here. Then I moved back to my home, and then I came back. I started the podcast mainly just to stay sane. If you want to know the truth, I started it back in 2017. My wife had moved me to St. Louis and to go to the chiropractic school, and I was depressed. Didn't have anything to do but to work, and so I had to come up with something to do. And we, like I said, I turned it kind of into a small business with, we have corporate sponsors, we have local sponsors, and then and we have fun. That's the main thing, is having fun with it also.
Well, I think that's the same reason why I kind of started mine. Was my wife was working night shift, and I got bored of just sitting on my butt watching TV all night. So me and Fred just started playing around on Facebook Live and just kind of grew it from there, So I mean, yeah, it's a fun experience and all. But what made you want to do? What made you want to do your podcast about wrestling?
Well, I've been a fan. I've been a fan since 1978. I went to Blytheville, Arkansas for my first show. And on the first match was a guy by the name of the Kisser. Did you ever see pictures of Honky Tonk Man as the Kisser?
No. That was before my time too, though.
Jerry Lawler did the makeup that night, and it was Kiss makeup, but it was all four of the guys. The makeup was Gene, Paul, everybody was on there. And I just become a fan. I've been watching television, wrestling. Memphis wrestling at 11 o'clock for years and years. There was a time where I had not, until I think 1991, when I quit kind of watching wrestling for a small amount of time. It was 1992. It was like I got married, I opened a restaurant, blah, blah, blah. But I had missed like a dozen shows from 78 to 92. So I've been a fan when it comes to Memphis wrestling forever. So, by the way, shout out to Kay Toomer put messages, and Philip was in here too.
Yeah.
Is Idle Bizane. I've been a big fan of his for a long time.
I still have a hard time calling him Phil. I
I
still
do too. Yeah, when I'm doing those reviews, I'm like, I wanted to call his finishing move. I came up with a name for it. So Philip, are you still listening? Make sure you listen to the show this week because I came up with a name for your finishing move. But I wanted to call it something about Idle Bane, and I said, man, I probably shouldn't do that. So
on Nine Finger Philly.
yeah. Ghost. He used to have a finishing move, the Ghost of Andy Kaufman. Do you ever?
Yep.
So man, I mean, he's always been creative. So
One of the guys that I looked up to when I first started and everything, he was actually my second match I ever had. I literally got 2 elbows in and he beat my ass the rest of the time. But that's part of the routine, for the most part. So
the funny thing about Idle Bane is when I started doing the website, I think I've got this right, where he put Idle Bane as one name. It was all together.
Yeah.
But when I started doing the website, I'm doing results. I just put Idle, capital I, capital B, Idle Bane, and it was separated. He was like, wait, so you can see it on posters 2 different ways because it was on the website the way I put it. But yeah.
Sam's asking if you ever seen any shows at Barton.
Seen any shows at Barton? I have not. No.
Sam comes up with the most random stuff to ask.
Is that the Barton Coliseum?
Yeah.
Is that what he's talking about? No, yeah. I never did. I never did go to Barton.
Where is Barton?
I don't know. I want to say Little Rock, but I might be wrong.
Okay, it may be. I don't know. I'm not from Arkansas. I'm originally from Louisiana. I didn't move up here till like 2002. So that's where I get lost in the mix when people start talking about classic Memphis wrestling and stuff, because where I was at, we didn't get it, So Arkansas Fairgrounds. But we didn't get, those shows that, like, every once in a while a tape would roll through. My dad would get a hold of a tape or something. We'd watch, Junkyard Dog and all them.
Yes, I love that. Mid-South Wrestling was my second favorite wrestling. And in Continental, I started getting tapes. By the way, K Toomer, thank you, man. I always want to help everybody. And I do this with Memphis Wrestling. I've been part of Memphis Wrestling since the very front. I kind of behind the scenes kind of thing. I don't do all their videos, but I do a majority of their videos on when it comes to clips and stuff like that. And been a friend of Dustin's we've been friends since his first match. I was at his first match.
Oh, wow.
So that's how long I've been knowing Dustin. But I reach out every once in a while. I reach out to people. I don't want to, like influence anything that they're booking or anything. But if I see somebody or I like something, I know I had a lot of ideas for you guys, but no one would listen to me. So just let you know I pitched some ideas for you guys. So.
Well, I appreciate that.
The Modern Day Monsters was on my radar when y'all came in, and I was like, and I'd watched your podcast. I'll tell you one of the biggest things about you that shocked the shit out of me, and I think I reached out to you, was your size. Because you sat there, you doing a podcast. I'd never seen you live wrestling because I don't ever get out of the house. And you came on TV, and I was like, shit. That's a big old man. I was like, wait, I didn't expect that. But yeah, I messaged you when your wife was kind of changed. I was like, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I had this rule, and Toomer said that we had talked about a few things that I wanted him to speed up at one time. And I was just like, you need to speed up. And he's like, well, somebody told me I need to slow down. I was like, hell no, man, as big as you are and you can move, you go. But and you probably know what I'm fixing to say. There's this thing about the young guys that will come up to you and say, will you watch my match and tell me what I did wrong? And I used to do that all the time. And I used to take videotapes and watch the videotapes and tell them what psychology they weren't doing or what they were doing correctly. But a lot of them would just come back with, yeah, I know. If you know you're doing that wrong, why are you doing it wrong, kind of thing. So I don't talk to a lot of people, and there's a few reasons why. It's not that it's like I don't want to influence anything, and I also don't want anybody to spoil anything. Uh, I think Mike Anthony. I'm gonna tell on Mike. I think he spoiled something. It was him or Brett Michaels one time. I was talking to him, and they spoiled one of the matches because I don't. I watched the wrestling show on Tuesday or Wednesday before Saturday.
Oh,
Uh, to take the clips out and all that, and then see if there's any mistakes. If there's any mistakes, and then I'll email Dustin. But I don't. I watch it as a fan. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the spoilers. I don't know who won the. At Super Bout 5. I don't know next week's show. I don't know what happened. So that's the way I really was able to enjoy wrestling. Back as a fan kind of thing.
that's awesome too. Because man, I tell you right now, I was a super fan growing up. About probably Attitude Era and up is when I really, really got heavily into it. I mean, I watched it, during Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan era, and all that.
Right, right.
But Attitude Era is when me and my buddies got into it. Of course, that's my age group. Oh yeah. But like once I actually got into the business, now like I can't talk to casual fans the way I used to because I see it differently than they do. They're like, "Man, he should have did this. He should have beat that guy." I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna shut up."
Yeah, yeah. I talked about it. We've talked about that on my podcast before. Where after you see, my process was when I got into business, I was taught some things about psychology, and then I wanted to watch everything. I was a tag team guy, so I had two tag teams. We always feuded against each other. So sometimes I was with one team, sometimes I was with the other. I mean, we had a good time in this area doing that. But I wanted to go through every tag team match I could find to see when they made the hot tag, when they came out of heat, who took the heat, how did they do this, how did they do it? And it killed me for the business for a long time because I could not watch a match on TV without trying to pick it apart or see what they did. I was really about what someone did differently. Like like we'd have a match, we'd start the match and do do-si-do, at the start of the match. And then when we started the heat, what are we going to do when we start the heat? Are we going to cheat or are we just going to cut them off and start heat, just different, or do we not even go get any heat? Just very little heat, So, but we changed all kinds of things when it comes to learning, and that messed up my fandom where I wasn't enjoying wrestling as much because that's the only reason I was watching it is to see new stuff.
So those who may not know, you were actually part of the wrestling business.
I did 5 years. I don't know the years I did that. Chronologically, I can't put shit in line. I can't tell. I can tell you it happened before, but yeah, I did it for 5 years in this area. I had two tag teams. We went all over the place: Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri. I promoted my own shows. Psycho was one of my regular. I know you probably knew Psycho.
I know who he was. I never got the chance to meet him.
Yeah, he was one of my regulars during that time, and see, I was trying to think of somebody else that you guys might know, but yeah, I did it for 5 years. We did a lot of dates, like and it's crazy because the first 9 months we did 100 dates, and that's pretty good in an area like this where you're trying to do 2 to 3 shows a week, and that's about all you can get. But yeah, I had a good time. I actually got in the wrestling business because of. It's just crazy. It's on my podcast. Anyone who wants to listen to Jerry Lawler talking about me being a fat piece of shit, you can go to the podcast and listen. But me and Lawler got into it.
Really?
And I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to prove to him I could be a wrestler. And I sucked, man. I mean, I watched some of my matches and I said, this is the worst shit I've ever watched. So I said, I think I could be a manager. So I did a gimmick where I was Coach BT. I carried a clipboard. I broke many clipboards in this area. But yeah, I had a great time. But I'm 59 years old now, and my knees feel it. I mean, I fell off the ring many a times, and I could feel it in my knees. But yeah, I did Rector, all these towns that you said. I've been in all of them doing the show. So
Wow, that's awesome, man.
West Memphis, I did not know they were doing shows in West Memphis and drawing that well.
Yeah, APW pretty much anywhere they go, they draw. They know how. Ricky knows how to promote big time. Always puts together a killer show. Does great benefit shows. I mean,
Awesome.
Ricky is an awesome guy. If you ever get a chance, I got to get him on here one day. But if you ever get a chance to talk with Ricky Kennedy, 100% recommend it. Dude is a wealth of knowledge, especially on the promoter side of things. Great guy.
Well, they promoted. I don't know if you knew this, but Nightmare Ken Wayne had his own school in West Memphis, and they promoted shows on a weekly basis. They did television out of West Memphis, a little building, but they didn't draw shit. I mean, it was all about it was a learning school kind of thing where you did TV, you did what angles. That's a good question I want to ask you. Is doing TV like that just something totally different when y'all started doing TV?
Man, for me, oh yeah, Sam.
Right.
Sam. For me, it was a different demon completely. I'd done a lot of shows where it was the time frames were real lax. They're typically what the only camera around is the one you got your buddy holding for you.
Sure.
So you're primarily focused on the crowd. So now, even though the hard cam is pointed over the crowd now, so it's a little easier than it was. But like at first, when the hard cam was over the commentator's desk, I'm turning to do my little thing like this, and the crowd's all behind me. It felt so awkward to me.
I did TV for Rampage Championship Wrestling that was based in Jonesboro. It's one of the shittiest TV shows you ever seen. It was, and then I did TV in Mississippi for a group called IWF, and they was high. Their cameras were really high class compared to the time, period. But it is a different animal. And the thing about you said listening to the crowd, when I called when to come in and out of heat, when to make hot tags outside the ring to my guys. And I listened to the crowd. On TV, you're not doing that. You have a set amount of time. You don't even care what the crowd's doing, really. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with the crowd.
Well, for me, with the character stuff that me and Bruce do, we still do our best to make sure that the crowd is still, acknowledging us to an extent. It's
right.
Part of part of the show for us, especially because we do our entrance.
The entrance gets y'all, yeah.
Because we're right there on them. I still remember when we first popped back up. Slaughterhouse is up there doing an interview. They hit our music. We come through the entrance way, and nobody else was doing that except for when the twins were there. So they weren't really expecting us, and everybody's focused on Slaughterhouse. And I come out and I do my whole thing, dude. It was like in unison. Everybody turned, and that reaction, dude, that gave me goosebumps.
Well, that crowd is crazy. I've been told it's not mic'd as well, and sometimes it's so loud, that they talk about that. Yeah, me and you talk about the entrance. Me and Dustin had a not really an argument, but I was always bitching about the main event, about how many minutes the main event was for a long time. I would say 8 fucking minutes. Come on, give me 12, give me 13. And Dustin was like, look, the time starts when they start walking out, BT. It don't start when they're in the ring. So that, I see that now. It's part of the match,
Yeah.
But, the thing about it is with Memphis wrestling, I know Dustin gets a lot of criticism in this area, but man, he's put out this week will be 260 shows nonstop. He has not repeated a show. He hasn't been late on a show. in 260 shows. That's more than Power Pro. I believe it's more than the versions of Corey Macklin's wrestling that they did. So and I'm a little biased because I do work for the company, but you got to at least give him that.
But yeah, and I personally, whether people have issues with them or not, I personally haven't had any issues. I've enjoyed my time there. I Even though, like, when we first popped in, we were doing something different, but I felt like I was still kind of the same, I was still doing kind of the same thing, but
Right.
now I'm getting to amp it up a little bit more, and I'm having fun with it. But it's weird, 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're done, you know, and then you're going home. So it's kind of a cakewalk at times, but then it's also too for me it's very stressful trying to make sure I'm hitting my times right and all. But my ear works now, so I can hear the referee talk to me now.
Yeah, that's the time thing. I don't, TV would be hard for me. When we did TV, it was I didn't really have any control whatsoever. But I always listened to the crowd and not being able to listen, to the up and downs and when to,
Yeah.
y'all kind of know if I got 3 minutes left, there's fixing to be a hot tag around here somewhere, and it's time to go to do it. So it's got to be a lot different there.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I didn't know y'all were doing that gimmick. So I'm watching Memphis Wrestling and y'all are doing what you're doing on Memphis Wrestling. And then I see Bruce and I see you and I'm like, damn, now this needs to be on TV. And, I campaigned for that as much as I could. I was like, hey, have you seen them guys on Facebook in that gimmick? That's where they need to be, kind of thing. So.
well, and that's what that was actually kind of the original goal. The righteous path thing was just kind of a way to get us there, and then working towards what we finally what finally happened all was the end goal game. It was just we weren't sure on the time frame thing, but yeah, I've enjoyed every minute of it. And it's really cool too to get guys that you know they see what we do outside of there, and now they're seeing it there. Just the comparison of it is it's been a fun ride so far. Last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing it. I wouldn't still do it. It's a lot of work to put together. People don't understand putting together clips and stuff like that. It's a chore, if I want to say. It's probably a good day's work, probably about 5 hours from the time I start working on it and watch the show and put the clips together.
Yeah.
So every week I spend about 5 hours with Memphis Wrestling, but and it's a dream too. I mean, I grew up watching Memphis Wrestling. You couldn't tell me that, my face has been on Memphis Wrestling, my voice has been on Memphis Wrestling, and I just, I couldn't
All I can hear is hit.
Yeah. Yeah, that started out. It started out. I was with Rhino JB, and after 100 episodes, he left me. He said, and I was having some scheduling problems with him, and I just said, "Screw this! I tell you what, I'm just going to do it myself." So yeah, I kind of, I just have fun with the hit, and I have had people message me and say, well, you didn't tell the miss really was because they missed a move or something like that. I said, I work for Memphis Wrestling. You think I'm going to shit on it? I mean, I might shit on it in Patreon. I might say something on the Patreon that I wouldn't say on a normal show. Subscribe to my Patreon, by the way. But yeah, I mean, but that's not my job is to get the stuff over, the way I see it. And that's, I mean, sometimes it's not the direction he's going. Or anything like that. But and I knew y'all, and I knew what y'all were going to be called. And I messaged him and I said, "Look, I know who this is. I know their gimmick name. When y'all was sitting in the vignettes." And he said, "You know more than most people. Go ahead and say it." So I went ahead because I want to okay stuff like that. I don't want to screw things up.
Oh yeah. Hey Sam, it is on for the THB thing. It's on their streaming app, but then Saturdays it's on YouTube as well. So
Yeah, at 12 o'clock, right down to 12 o'clock noon. You'll see every day, and then right after that, what's that 1:45? They put it up. Rolling into Memphis, I do the
yeah,
review show.
hey, Connor, we were talking about Memphis doing the TV stuff. It's a little bit different Demon Bubble stuff, but I had a brain fart just then. Uh, so what when you were actually doing the manager thing and everything like that, what was probably one of your highlights of your career?
Man, I I guess I love promoting when the show got put together. We had a couple of really good gates in Kennett, Missouri. That was fun. Uh I just I was not a fan, and you're gonna laugh at this part because you have to do this to get there. I was not a fan of the travel.
uh,
I
I
don't. Yeah, I'm a bitch. Don't put me in a car for over 75 minutes. Actually, my wife will tell you, don't put me in a car to go to Walmart here in Jonesboro. But I am. I'm a bitch. And so I didn't really like to travel. We had a couple of shows where they were just had one in Henderson, Tennessee. There was probably 400 or 500 people there, and that just sticks out because the crowd was so into every move we did. We did the old gimmick where my teams had single matches. My
yeah.
team had a single match, and then we came back in a feature match and did our semi main event and did a tag team match. We did that, and it just every move you did, whether it was just a basic arm drag, just simple moves, the crowd moved with you. And I just, the first time I ever wrestled, though, I wrestled in front of about 1,600 people. I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I was on a show with Terry Funk, Jerry Lawler, Cactus Jack, and Eddie Gilbert.
You deserve this.
That was my first match. No, I'm sorry. That was my second match. But yeah, I had good connections. Just put it that way.
Wow, that is epic, man.
It was. I still can't believe it. And I suck too. So I mean, that's the thing. When I would tell wrestlers they sucked on the website, some people would threaten to beat my ass, and I was like, dude, I'm just telling you the truth. I can watch my own matches and tell you how bad I was just horrible. So
Well, people can't take any kind of criticism at all. If you know what you're doing, the first thing you're gonna do is go to somebody. What do I need to work on? Well, some of the guys that I've worked with, they get sick of my ass doing that crap. Even today, I'll work with somebody that had barely been doing anything. Hey, everything all right? What did you feel good with this? Did I need to quit? I'm bad about that stuff, but yeah, there's a lot of people that they just do not want to hear it at all. You know,
yeah, that's one of the reasons, and I guess I kind of cheated. I mean, I had two tag teams, and if we went into a new place, I would always put my two teams against each other and say, "Look, we'll do the opening match just to get a feel of what was going on." Because there was guys they wouldn't work because they didn't know how to work. I mean, they didn't want to get hurt. They didn't want to. And I know you see that still in this area in Tennessee. You see people and there's a new wrestling promotion. What, they got 9 in Memphis now? I know y'all can tell me better than
I
that,
don't
but
I don't keep up with it. I know there's a few that some buddies of mine work for, but I really don't keep up with it for the most part.
it's crazy. It's one of those things where, uh, you can if you own a wrestling ring, you can have a wrestling promotion. And I mean,
That's the way it is in Arkansas now. Since they
yeah,
got rid of the commission. It's like this weekend. We're in Black Rock. There's a show in Piggott. There's one in
right, yeah.
Paragold. I mean, there's a whole bunch of shows right there. And several shows are like, I mean, you see who we're bringing, who we've got it for OCW. I mean, there's a lot of names popping up
Yeah,
now.
there's some money being spent on those shows. I want to tell. I don't know if there's a bunch of young wrestlers that watch your shows, but if you're Arkansas wrestler and you're watching this show and you see these seminars pop up, and you see David saying the seminar here, seminar there, spend $50, $75, and go learn some stuff.
Bob
These
is on,
these
Bob is only
seminars are the best, especially
Bob
Bob Evans.
he's only charging 40.
Jesus.
Yeah, this honestly, like, I've never been one to I guess it's more of a subconscious thing. Is I've only done one seminar in my entire career. That was when we went to Chuckey, Tennessee for that tag tournament. We had one with EC3, Kenzie Page, and Ricky Morton. I did that one. That was the first one I ever done. This will be only the second one, and not necessarily because I don't want to do them. In fact, I always felt like I was taking away a spot for one of the younger guys.
Right.
Jack looked me in the eyes. He goes, "Screw that shit, do it." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, you're gonna always learn something. I mean, I've been doing this. I've been around the business. Started taking photographs at ringside, I guess in '86 or '87. And so I took photos, and then went to doing kayfabe sheets and stuff like that, and then got into business. But there's shit I learn every year, every month. There's something new that you can learn about the business. One of my co-hosts for some of my shows, Gene Jackson, was talking about, he has a podcast with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich, and they were talking about, why did Rich come into a promotion as a heel instead of a babyface? Well, they made mention that, these promotions back in the day, they were just looking for, like, if they had a heel leave, so they had to bring a heel in to take that heel's place. So instead of Tommy being a babyface at the time in Smoky Mountain, he was a heel, which he probably would have been better babyface, but they didn't need a babyface. They needed a heel. And I was like, I never thought about that. And I remember, I guess it's about 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was reading Tanahashi from just retired from Japan. He had a book come out, and I got some excerpts from his book, and he was talking about the things that you do in between the moves.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. And then I started going, okay, yeah. It's not just the moves. And like you said, putting your hands up in the air and doing things like that. It's not just the moves. It's them things that are in between the moves that are a big deal. So,
well, and that's what I've always felt helped me out, with my character stuff, because I can do some neat stuff and all, but character wise, I don't necessarily need to. But I've got to figure out a way how to get between these different things, and even if it's just a quick little turn over the shoulder, give somebody that crazy look, get them drawn in. At least you got to do something other than just. You see a lot of people, they'll knock somebody down and then they'll do that little half walk around the ring. Then they'll do something else and do that little half walk around the ring, or they'll walk away and then go back. You got to do something in order to fill that spot to make the crowd feel something.
yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it just slaps you in the face and you go, yeah, that does mean a lot. You know what you do. I watch the old Memphis. We do a show called, you can go to Retro Wrestling Archives.club. It's on there. It's a USWA review show. We're doing 1991 now. And we do it episode by episode every week. And I've been watching these guys do all kinds of things that no one does anymore. It's simple stuff like jumping and doing a move, and the heel does a move and then jumps out of the ring and runs around the ring and stuff like. A lot of people don't even don't do that. You can't do that on TV now because you don't have enough time. But they did stuff like that back in the day. So.
Well, I mean, but if you're working your character, I mean, you can fit that kind of stuff in. as long as it, it applies to how your character is built and how you get that person, like, to be able to do that little runaround, you gotta have something to put them down for that minute to do, like, the Bo Dallas victory lap.
Right, right, right.
So he can hit a big move, and that gives him the opportunity to do it, but that also gives the babyface time to work up, so when they get back in, "Oh, I'm so great," turn around, pop, there you are, you know? It's easy to do stuff like that if you work it into the character with.
Right, right. Oh, you and Bruce fit perfect together when it comes to that with the modern day uh monsters gimmick. I love the gimmick. And when I start liking stuff, it reminds me a lot of what Psycho and Pappy did at one time with the Asylum and
Well,
just something different, you know?
those are guys I watched when I first started because, I always like doing the crazy stuff, you know?
Right, right.
Trainer, when I was getting ready to get started, he told me, he was like, "Hey, these are some guys to watch at this level to" I heard the radio, sorry, to work on your character, but don't infringe on it, see what they're doing and see how to make it your own, and then I watched a lot of those guys. I don't have that kind of size to me like Pappy does, but, and like Jay Webb, I watched a lot of his stuff, and now getting to be on some of the same shows with him and stuff, it's kinda cool, but I honestly, I've been through a multitude of different tag team partners, like me and Deadly Dale, we clicked. I mean, but it was a different type of manic energy. Uh, you know, uh, when I was tagging with Hypnotic, it was a similar thing. It's just that manic energy. And a few other people, but like when me and Bruce started tagging, I don't know, it was just it instantly clicked. We worked very similar styles, but we can kinda interchange who does what, and it still makes sense because I mean, like, Bruce isn't a small guy himself, so, he doesn't need to be the one always taking heat, so that we can intertwine that, but we just feed off each other. Like, we rarely speak out there, period. Yeah,
Yeah.
to each other at all. We just I get here, okay, well, here he comes, now we're gonna move over here, now I grab this guy like this, he knows he's coming here, it just
Yeah, that's when it gets easy when you've been with somebody for so long, you can just do things like that.
we've been tagging, come close to about 3 years now. And
Deadly Dale, there's a name right there. I was always a fan of Deadly Dale. There's a group of guys that was in Tuckerman and in this
LSD
area, Deadly Dale, Idlebane,
and Cody
Austin Lane, Excalibur. Those guys were they were so much better than everybody else in the area. Let's see, Scotty was something. I can never remember what Scotty's work name was. If
Scott
Idols
Fury
do what?
Scott Fury.
Yep, Scott Fury too was a good
Or
guy.
you talking about Vic Vicious?
Yes, Vic Vicious. That's who I'm talking about. Clown's in here too.
Oh, yeah.
I reached out to one of them examples of me reaching out to people was the stuff the Clown was doing and telling him he did a good job. I thought he did really good for somebody, that's just a DJ, you put it that way, but he did a real fantastic job in that angle. Yep, did a good job with that. That elbow smash that would have scared the shit out of me. So I
So
couldn't go all the way to the top for that.
Man, I don't either. I'd probably break a hip. Uh No, I worked a lot with Dale when I first started. We tagged together. That's where I learned tag wrestling was with him. Uh, I learned and getting to work with him and against him some. It was some of the most fun I had. I grew a lot. Just drawing that experience from him.
Just a talented guy on so many levels. Artist, understanding the wrestling business. He's one of those guys that in this area that I always thought. I don't know if he could have worked one of the big promotions, but he could have been an asset to one of the big promotions, doing T-shirts, doing whatever he would do. But he always had something going on. a lot of creativity in the mind all the time working. And you have to do that. You have to change up what you're doing. You can't be that. I mean, that's the cool thing about you two guys. You change up things too.
I started off as Cataclysm under the mask. I've officially retired that mask now. I will never wear it again. And then I dropped the mask. That's where Draven Morrow come in. I kind of went more of the cult leader type thing for a couple of years, and then working an angle. I actually worked an angle with Bruce, and when we got done with the angle, I had turned face. I went back to more of the psycho crazy thing, and we were sitting there one day. I was like, we were both like, man, we done did everything here we can do. You want to tag? Yeah, man. Man, we're kind of like some modern day monsters, ain't we? Yeah, dude, that's the name. And dude, that's all it was.
That's awesome.
That's all it was.
I can't believe we got a Skimahorn in here.
Oh, Brad loves me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bradley too. So
I actually, my very first show, I was, that I got to work. I met Brad and Idol and all those guys. I've been around Brad a long time. Worked a lot of tag matches with him and his brother, and then actually, late last year was the first time I ever got to work with Brad one-on-one over at Tuckerman. We went a whole 8 minutes and still had a very, very fun match. I really enjoyed it.
Him and Idol have a good match on TV this coming Saturday. It's really solid. They do some stuff outside the ring. The main event is, I'm not giving out any spoilers, but Su Yung and DDT probably, they've had the two best girl matches we've had on Memphis Wrestling. That really good match. But yeah, I got a lot of young talent right now. And, like I think Bruce just put in there, tell Memphis Wrestling, anybody's welcome to that seminar.
Yeah.
Guys, you can search it out. Anybody, if you've not been in a Bob Evans seminar, search it out. He knows. He's so smart. He's so smart.
This was his first time in Arkansas. So, most of the time he's up north, so you're having a hard time getting to these.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
I don't even know Bob, but I've watched things that he says online, and I've watched some of his seminars on tape. And he's just one of those guys that's just so smart at what he does and understands the business. Unlike a lot of people, I mean, he really can tell you what you're doing wrong by watching some of your matches, and what you can do to improve. And that's all you want to do. You just want to go on to keep getting better.
So you say you're in Jonesboro, right?
I am. I live in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
How far is that from Black Rock?
Man, I don't know.
Man, because Black Rock's only about 10 minutes from Hoxie.
David, I don't get out of the house.
Damn. Did you not see what we got going on this weekend? Man, me and Bruce are getting the opportunity of a lifetime.
That should be really fun. I messaged Luke Gallows one time, and I said, hey man, why don't you come on the podcast? And he said, I'm busy, I can't do it. I said, look, my old lady said I'd get lucky Saturday night if you'd come on my podcast. He goes, man, I think I could make some time for you, but I never got back. I said, you gotta help me out. You gotta help me get lucky. But he never did message me back. But they seem to be really good guys, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really good show. I mean,
were you there with them when they were in Memphis? Because they did the
I was there. I got to meet them. About 30 to 45 minutes. But I got to meet them. Got to talk to them for a few minutes. But I was on a completely different episode. I was not included into the Grind City Rumble. So that didn't happen. So, but is what it is. I got to do it last year. I got to get clotheslined by Joe Hendry. So that's a highlight.
There you go.
Got punched by Top Dollar guy.
AJ. I know who you're talking about.
I blanked on his name all of a sudden. But anyway, I got highlights for that one, so I'm okay with that, you know. But
Dude, I want to tell you the thing I hate most is Royal Rumble battle royals. I cannot. I have to fast. They have a battle royal on TV this week. I'm just not a fan, and I think someone asked me why I hated battle royals. I think, and you probably have had this happen to you, where you work the third match on the show, and they say, "Look, you can't leave yet. You got to do the battle royal." And I'm like, shit, I mean, I'm a manager. No, I'd always be the first person out. And then my team, I tell, we're going home. Let's go. Let's leave. But I've never liked battle royals. I never liked them live when I was a kid watching battle royals. And Royal Rumble to me, I always fast forward until the next person comes out so I can see who it's going to be kind of thing. But this year, I even cheated. I just went to one of the websites after the match to see who came out in the order they got eliminated. I was like, man, that was lazy, but just not a fan.
what the hell?
2 hours too late. Hey, I'm not sure who that was, but it's never too late to arrive at an orgy. Come on.
Oh Lord. I told you Sam will come up with some crazy stuff. I never really had a problem with battle royals. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I mean, I'll do them. If like a lot of times though, I want to be in there early. I want to last in there because I want to beat people up as much as possible. Give them the old pop, and then go hide in the corner for 5 minutes while I'm waiting on somebody else. That's the only issue with battle royals, though. Is you get a lot of standing around and a lot of guys, settling down in the corner and stuff like that. So it does. There's so much chaos going on that at times it can take away. But I heard there was somebody that at multiple shows they did kind of a uh, crowd question or whatever. One of their favorite things to watch, the type of live matches like that, and they were battle royals, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know. People tell me I'm odd about that. So I never promoted a battle royal. One of the shittiest matches I ever booked was I did a Iron Man match, but it was a 60-minute hardcore match.
Oh Jesus!
Here in Jonesboro at on the Arkansas State on the campus there, across from the business school. I can't remember what that building. It's I think it's like a military building of some kind. That was the worst match because within 7 minutes they had already used everything that they could use, and 7 minutes into it, I knew I had booked the wrong thing because you can't have a hardcore match for 60 minutes. So
you can if you build.
Yeah, but oh man,
I think if I'm in the ring for 15 minutes, that's an Iron Man match for me. I'm done. I just got used to these Memphis times. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't think about that, but yeah, you do a house show per se, you're working a lot longer. It's just totally different. That's the thing. I'm glad that Dustin, he hasn't done a lot this year, but there'll come a time where you see a house show with those guys almost every weekend, and that helps everybody because they're working a total different style on a house show. Yeah, yes, you're right. Yes, Bruce, that was we're actually going to do a podcast in a couple of weeks on the Ozark Mountain. The whole story about Ozark Mountain, why it started, all the people that came through. They did a big, huge show in at the Convocation Center. I don't know what it's called now, but it was called Convocation Center then. Bert Prentice quit Memphis Wrestling and told them, "Hey, I'm taking the Colorado Kid and I'm going to start my own promotion." He came to Jonesboro, of all places, and it was very successful here for a while. So he had all kinds of people come through here: Tommy Rich, Cactus Jack, the headbangers were the Spiders. They were here. All kinds of people. So.
Well, BT, how did you end up getting involved with doing the podcast stuff for Memphis?
Because it actually was Maria's idea. So I'm doing shooting the shiznit as usual. I'm doing my thing, and Dustin says, "Hey, I knew about them trying to get Memphis wrestling going probably when it first started."
Yeah.
Dustin's like, I want you to be doing something with it. This is what we're going to do. Then he had planned a big show in at the baseball field, and then we had COVID happen, and so there was a lot of stuff right there. And then all of a sudden, I said, "Look, I tell you what I'll do," because we did this for we did a show for AEW, not for them, but when AEW started, the first 10 weeks we did a review show, and then we was going to come back and we was going to review it after a year, 10 more, blah blah blah. And so I told Dustin, I said, "Man, I can do, I'll sit down with somebody for like 12 shows, and I'll do the review show and I'll put it on mine, and blah blah blah." And he's like, Maria's like, "Have him do the podcast, the review podcast. You don't need to be doing that." That's what she told us. That you need that someone else doing that. Give it to BT. And I said, "So you want me to do it every week?" And I was like, I'll see what I can do. And then, as it goes, 260 shows that I've done, I think to myself, I can't quit. I haven't had an alcoholic drink since 1991.
Oh, wow.
It's not that I don't want an alcoholic drink. I'm that kind of guy. If I stop doing something, then I can't bring myself to start again. I haven't had a McDonald's, Burger King, what else? No burgers whatsoever from fast food since 2011. Right. But it was because I got really healthy and I quit eating fast food, and then I quit. So it's like, well, I'm done. I'm not, I'm not going to do it again. But it's strange when I do stuff like that. I don't know where I was going with this story, but when I quit something, it's over. It's like, it's not part of my life. Now, I have gummies up here somewhere. That's what I've been told. So it's not like I don't have some kind of recreational usage going on, but it has nothing to do with alcohol. So,
yeah. But we were talking about you doing the Memphis podcast.
Oh yeah, and then I started doing it, and then when the 100 in my mind, I said I'm going to do 100. You always say something like that, and then Rhino left me, and I got to do the show. The show actually morphed into something totally different. You had and this is nothing against Rhino, but you had a Ms. Art, and you had a guy that's been in the business doing a podcast. And you had two different views of Memphis wrestling. And it was really good. I really liked that, what we were doing, because Rhino sees the business totally different than me.
Yeah.
But when he left, then he gave me the creative to do anything I want to do. So I sat down and made it so formatted that, I just do it the same way. Everybody expects it to be done that way. Yeah. And I made it. And so then I say to myself, David, well, I'm going to do it to 200. I'm going to do it. And, I'm going to tell Dustin ahead of time, I'm going to quit. And, now I'm saying, I'll probably do it to 300. And my wife says, you will do that till you dies when you're going to quit doing it. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably it. But, I make it formatted. I make it easy. I make it fun. And it keeps, the podcast really was, and the website really was just for me to stay kind of in the business or around the business. With the website, I went to a lot of the shows compared to now, and I got where I'm a hermit. I don't really like getting out of the house. It's not that I don't like it. I don't like to be around a bunch of people. As it's like I don't have any control over. There's, so many people. I know that sounds strange, but that's just my quirk. Well, but with this, I was going to interview wrestlers. But with rolling into Mempo every week, I know I'm going to at least get one episode out of that. Then we're going to do something else. We just released, which I find just fun. We have Cassette Wrestling News. Now, I know you don't know anything about this, but in 1991, a friend of mine, Jeff Osborne in Evansville, Indiana, was putting out cassettes, and he was doing wrestling news. And he found a box of those cassettes in his garage when he was moving, and he sent them to me. And I'm able to put them on. And I mean, this is what's going on in '91. There's all kinds. There's interviews with Eddie Gilbert, Owen Hart, all kinds of stuff. It's just really weird when you sit and listen to what's going on then. Stone Cold even put it over, said it was the very first ever podcast, and we got lucky. All right, so what did Bruce say? BT, I wear on my interest now because of you. I disappointed you when I came to work.
I've had
Gangrel
multiple times.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was you at first. That was like that's what Dustin. He doesn't say a word to me about anything like that. So, yeah, I love part of the Psycho thing, Psycho and Pappy. The story of Psycho, a lot of it had to do with me and him driving down the roads, coming up with shit. He carried a baby doll.
Yeah.
And we were doing a show one night, and we're driving back from the show. I said, "Man, you gotta have something." And he says, "What do you mean?" I said, "There's got to be something different except just a jumpsuit. There's, just a crazy man. You got to do." So we're driving back, and I was thinking about my kids, and they had all these toys everywhere. And I was like, I'm just going to look at the toys in the morning. So I go into my kid's room, and laying all over the room was a bunch of toys. And there's this baby doll with one arm. And my daughter, Katie, that's what he named the baby doll, Katie, had wrote Katie on the arm of the baby, the one arm that was there. And I was like, "Can I have this?" And she's like, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" And I said, "I'm going to give this to Psycho." And so I called him and I said, "I got something for you. I got something for your gimmick." And then he carried it around all the time. And then they did a gimmick where my ex-wife was the real Katie. I mean, there was just all kinds of crazy shit. But that's the kind of stuff that, that I remember so much about being around the business and being with the business. But I'm a gear guy. I told Dustin, if I ever decided to start coming down there, that's what I wanted to do. I want to stand backstage and I want to say, who are you working? And then they say, "I'm working Bruce. What are you wearing?" "I'm wearing this." "What color is it?" "It's red." "Bruce, what are you wearing?" "It's this. It's red." "No, Bruce, you're going to wear blue. Find a blue. You can't wear red against the guy wearing red." I mean, that's how picky I am about gear.
Well, that's why with our gear, we've got a multitude of different
colors. But there, it's just the tiny things that why are you wearing these shoes instead of real wrestling boots or another kind of boot? It's the questions like that I would, and he said, "Man, you drive people crazy backstage." And I said, "I would, but it's the tiny details that I look at for gear." Cause I mean, K Toomer was in here. I love K Toomer's gear, what he does with his. Bradley's always got something different, and I always try to put it over when he has a new gear. But yeah, that's just one of my pet peeves. I guess it's old school. I don't really know, but you really, even the WWE guys do it sometimes now. But I always was taught, if you shouldn't have two teams in there with the same gear kind of thing. So, or same color too, because you want to separate those. Now, if you're doing some kind of gimmick where you want, like the Disorderlies do, I call it the Nightmare gimmick or the Assassin's gimmick. What they always did was one of them would drop out and the other one would roll in. You can have the same color, you can look the same, but and y'all are perfect examples. Y'all are totally two different wrestlers that look totally different, but you look good together, kind of thing. So,
well, and we try to wear similar gear. Like our tights are always the same tight, but it's like I go with the solid color singlet. Bruce has always got some kind of stuff on his. I've got on Memphis. I've got the mask. He's got the face paint. So I mean, we try to be similar but different.
And I always like I would want to ask people things like, what are you going to do what are you going to do coming out of heat and going for the hot tag? Because you can sometimes watch TV and everyone's doing the same thing for the hot tag. And the DDT, are you going to use the DDT coming out of, as a hope spot? What are you going? Don't do it. Don't everyone do that move. So I'm real picky about stuff like that, but
yeah,
and I want names.
No,
I want
no double clotheslines.
Do I? Yeah.
Me and Bruce have a running joke when we're talking about like the double down or whatever. Bruce was like double clothesline. No, Bruce, do something else.
Yeah, I've seen so many hot tags where they really wasn't hot tags. So not at all. Y'all work with Simon too down there, and Simon and the posse got over as baby faces so well, because if you could go back and watch an old posse match, what they did was they took heat. That's all they did. They got a little bit of shine at the very beginning, and then like they beat the hell out of Chris would make the hot tag. They'd cut Simon off, beat the hell out of Simon, and then they'd go to the finish. But the fans would just come all the way back up because they were such big baby faces and they were getting beat up so bad. So it's just a different way of doing things, and they were so over because of that.
Simon's such a big dude, so it's kind of hard to believe that too,
Yeah, he is. The last time I saw him, I came to a spot show, and I was like, it was somewhere here in Arkansas. I can't remember where we went, and I've known Simon forever, but I was standing next to him. I was like, damn, this is a big man.
That's the first time I met him. I was up at a Golden Boy show, and I didn't get to meet him. He got there a little late, and I was already doing my match. And when I get back to the locker room, he looked at me and he's like, "Hit this number." I'm like, "Are you all right?" And he goes, "I just watched your match out there. I thought you were a lot bigger," and just walks off. I was like, "Okay." That's what I kind of tend to not realize, how big of a guy I am comparatively until I see myself like side by side with somebody that I thought I was like looking up to, and then you see it in the ring, I'm like eye to eye with them.
Well, I told you surprised me because the only time I'd ever saw you, I never saw you with the mask. I always saw you sitting down at the podcast. And then the first time I saw you, I was like, I'm going to tell you one of the biggest wrestlers I've ever met was Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is just so big. Now I bet Elegante too, but I wouldn't put him over. So I have a bunch of my friends. I told them I had met Elegante and Junkyard Dog at the airport. I got off a plane. They were standing. I went over to them, shook their hands, said, "Hey, I'm big fans of y'all's, blah, blah, blah." But Elegante, you couldn't even see my hand inside of his hand, But then my friends was like, "How big was he?" I was like, he wasn't that big. He wasn't. I'm not putting that shit over, But yeah, Simon's a big guy. Who else is real? You guys are a little bit bigger than a lot of the guys there on Memphis Wrestling.
Phil's a big old boy.
Who?
Idol.
Yes.
He's a big old boy. Now he's fat. He lost some weight. You're doing good, kid. But yeah, he's a big old dude, boy. And he feels every bit as heavy as he is. Especially when he throws that left haymaker, boy. Woo! You feel every bit of that weight put behind it.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's and there's the thing about it is there's so many of the younger guys that they bring through the school that are going to be like Ray Sanders and then you got guys like Mike Anthony. I've known him since day one too, and since he started wrestling, he was a little skinny kid. wrestling for uh, uh, God, Rodney Mack. Rodney Mack. He was working with Rodney Mack. Rodney Mack helped train him and Jazz, and he's just. But he's become such a good wrestler. You know, he can have a good match with anybody. So
Mike was, there when I first started. I got to work a few times with him. I learned a lot from Mike. Just overall psychology. Great guy. I love Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can keep up with him now, though. That son of a bitch more circles around my old ass, though. Memphis has got a lot of good young guys coming up. The Slaughterhouse Boys, Bashan, CJ Blaine. I mean, they're all really good kids, and I'm seeing more of them trickle into Arkansas. Especially like Ray and CJ Blaine. I've seen him a few times over here. The girls, Makari and Zaya and them all coming this way, and I love seeing that. That I love seeing them get out because they learned Memphis style, the Memphis TV style and all like that. So now getting to see them move out to like actual indie shows and stuff, and it's a completely different demon.
I like Vashawn Harvey a lot. I think he needs something. I don't know what it is, but he needs something.
Experience.
Yeah, maybe that, but there's something missing. I don't like the shoes. Look, I told you I'm piggy. I don't like his shoes.
I'm gonna tell him you said that too.
You go ahead. I'm trying to come up with a name for his. I've been calling his finisher a VDT, but it sounds like he's got VD or something.
You talking about that front face?
Yeah, he calls it. Yeah, Dustin just calls it a DDT, and I try to come up with. That's one thing too. Is I like. I always like guys to have two finishers, like one finisher and then maybe a submission finisher of some kind. Yeah. Or if not, let's have two finishers. And I really like it to have a name. That's why I got BJD's name that when he does that slam, he calls it the Bam Bam Slam. And I'm the one that named that. That's a kid too, man. He looks like he's a little hurt now, but
understandably.
Do what?
Understandably,
Yes. But I mean, he's way ahead of his time too. Ray's really good. CJ Blaine's really good.
I was part of CJ's first match.
They're just CJ's just so small. He just got to come up with something,
That explosion running headbutt thing that me and Bruce do.
Yeah.
We call it the original sin.
I like that. Who else does? Somebody else does that.
Oh my God, dude. So, and me and Bruce have spewed about this. We started doing that, and we've been doing that for quite a while. We debuted it on Memphis.
Right.
We hit it literally the next week. It was on NXT. Hank and Tank.
Yes, that's who
literally
used it.
The next week they debuted that shit.
What happened was y'all had already recorded it. Y'all did it before they did it, and then it looked like y'all copied them. Yeah.
No, the episode came out with
did it
doing it first, and then they did it the next.
It looked like they copied y'all. Yeah.
That's what we're going with at least. Only difference is Bruce does a headbutt. They do like a running back elbow. But we do that, and we do the Russian leg sweep STO combo, and then we got our little loop-de-loop corner thing. So, I mean, we got a few things that we do. But I've been trying to get people to put over that name of that, the original sin. We were calling it that when we were with Ash, because it's righteous path and all. We felt like it fit, so we just kept it. So.
I'll have to y'all next time y'all do TV, y'all do it as the finish. I'll put it over as original sin on the podcast.
We'll be seeing it very soon.
All right. No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers. But man, it's getting on there. We've been on here about an hour and 20 minutes. I think it's about time.
Man, it's past my bedtime. Man, I usually go to bed at 8 o'clock. I start winding down. I'm old, man. I'm old. I take my gummy and and listen to some podcasts, and it gets smoothed out by 8:30, 8:45. So you kept me past my bedtime, but it was fun, and I really wanted to come on because being in Jonesboro, being part of wrestling in this area for so long, um, I still like watching the young guys and the new people that you was talking about the Skimmerhorns, but they were the Mercury brothers, weren't they? So I'm at a Jonesboro show. Yeah, the first time I saw them, they were in the ring. There's these two young kids, and they wearing these shiny pants, and the girls are screaming when they come out, and I was like, who are these guys? And they were in the street doing the ring in the street doing stuff. They was flying all over the place. And then when they came on TV for Memphis, I was like, who is that? I know I've seen him before, but yeah, that's the kind of things. And if I did get out, I would come to Black Rock. Okay. But I don't get out. Just tell everybody to come to stspod.club. We do, like I said, we do all kinds of stuff. If you come to that site, it's the SoundCloud site. And to the right is a thing called Link of All Links. If you hit that link, it takes you to all my sponsors, takes you to all my other things that I do. I've been unemployed since September the 1st. So if you can give me a job, you can do that. You can contact me through that. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff since I've been unemployed. I have to keep my mind busy. But we do classic stuff like USWA. We do Memphis stuff like that. And then every Saturday at 1:45 on YouTube, you get Rolling Into Mempho, and it's just me, BT. So, and I don't know if you know this, David, but I love my mama.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you ain't never went to the end of one of my episodes, have you?
If I did, I don't remember that. Because a lot of times on Saturdays, I'm on the road.
Right.
I catch it at after the fact, and I may kind of skim through it more than I actually watch it fully. But I do try to catch it as much as possible.
Yeah, they
see the end. So.
Simon had CJ Money saying that too. See that I say that at the very end of all my shows, and he had CJ doing "I Love My Mama."
Oh yeah, definitely. But
no problem, clown.
But,
man, you got to know me. I ain't gonna put nobody over unless I believe it. So I don't bullshit anybody. If you suck, I'll tell you suck. I don't. That's just one thing I learned a long time ago. You said something about getting over. David, I quit trying to get over, 15 years ago. If you don't like my podcast, you don't like me, hey, I'm going to tell you, there's a gazillion more wrestling podcasts you can listen to and enjoy. If you don't, somebody wrote into the USWA podcast that I was full of shit and that I was arrogant. And I was like, and what? Come on now. What?
Even podcasters got to have gimmicks. Come on now.
Hits. That's a hits.
Oh, Lord. Well, BT.
All right, man. Fun. It's fun. Let's do it again. Let's do it on my show next time.
All right. Just let me know. Hang tight for a second.
All right.
I'm going to drop you down. Make sure you go check out all the BT stuff. Definitely worth watching. Definitely worth checking out. Also, too, this Saturday, if you are in the Black Rock area, come see us over at Out of Control Wrestling. We will be having Brutal Bob Evans against Austin Everest and Garth Mahoney for the OCW title. Myself and Warwolf against the Good Brothers. Enzo Amore against a Real One is what he's called now, against Jack Parker Jr. You got Lee Michaels will be in the match. I forgot who. Cam McGraw, I think, is who he's working. They're supposed to Abaddon and Riley Kennedy. I think that's what her name is. It's going to be a great show, so make sure you come check it out. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching.